this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts. Today I need to make a sympathy card. A dear guest of our pub has passed away, and normally when I make personal sympathy cards I don't film this. But in this case I thought I'd make an exception to my own rule, because I had an idea, and when I went online I couldn't find many cards that were picking up on this idea, so I thought I'll share my idea with you. The last time I met this guest, we danced the night away at a birthday party, and I know she liked her 70s music, and I in particular remember her liking and dancing to Tiger Feet. So I thought, to make this sympathy card very personal, I'd like to include the lyrics and the music notes of this song. And I found it online. I just googled Tiger Feet music notes, and I found actually a YouTube video that had it on there, and I took a screenshot. If you don't know how to take a screenshot on your laptop, but you can do it on your phone as well, is you just press print screen, which is a button at the top of your keyboard, PRT I believe, SCR maybe, I can't remember now, and then you can cut it to size, you can crop it. I didn't want to include this in my video, and I like to open my pictures, which in that case was a picture of the screenshot, in Word, and when you click on that picture you then get a heading at the top which is called picture format, and then you can alter the colour of your picture, which I did, and I changed the black to blue. So this was very straightforward because I didn't want this to be black. But you might be able to just get a straightforward picture of the lyrics you wanted, or you might have a different picture, something that you want to use rather than music notes. Just a little word of warning, this is a personal card, I'm not selling this, so I don't have a problem with using something that is potentially copyrighted. I might infringe on something by showing this here, but again, I'm not making any money with my YouTube videos, so I'm not too bothered. I've printed this off twice. This is a smaller bit, which is a bit bigger, and I printed off this. I couldn't quite judge on my computer screen how big I wanted it, but it will definitely work with this. And I've printed it on some A4 sheet. This is just 180 GSM because I had to put it through my printer, and you can't put anything of a thicker weight on it, but that's fine by me. So the only photo I found online that included music notes and sympathy card, obviously you can print it off on paper, you can do some mixed media. I didn't want to do anything too fancy. I want this to be the focus of the card, and I just wanted to sort of frame it a little bit. And the one card I found was just on Pinterest, and it had a round aperture with music notes behind it. So that gave me the idea to have some sort of aperture for this here. But obviously if I just had a round one, you couldn't read many of the notes. So I decided to just have a frame at the top and the bottom. And the easiest way to do this, I thought, is just to tear the edges. Before I show you that though, just something's come to my head that I thought earlier I would like to include in this. As I said, I don't get paid for this, so I don't mind a little bit of advertising, and this is this. For this guest, I have donated £50 to the Launch Memory Scheme of the RNLI. My husband's in the RNLI, he's a tractor driver and he's a head launcher. So this is how I've got connections to them, and obviously it's a UK charity. And this Launch Memory Scheme is they basically for your donation, they put a name of a loved one on the next boat they're building. And I've donated money a few times, so a few family names and friends' names have been launched, and I did this for this lady as well because I thought she would really enjoy that. So I'm hoping she's watching up there. And yeah, I just thought I'd just pop this in here. If I remember, I will put a link in the description box below for this Launch a Memory by the Lifeboat. You may not have heard of this before. I think it's a really great thing. And also, if you're not sure how to donate money, if someone passes and you would feel like you would like to give some money, it's a great way to remember this person. So, to come back to the card, I have got another sheet here. I think this is slightly heavier, like a 220 GSM. Again, white cardstock. If you're very bothered about having the same shade of white, you might want to pick the same one again. This one's slightly off, but I'm not bothered about this. So, and as I said, I would like to tear the edge of that. So pop this away. I'm just taking the whole sheet at the moment, and know I will cut this down probably to a 5x7 card. So, and the secret to tearing this is you can either use a ruler if you want a very straight edge, but I want a ragged edge. And the trick is to tear the piece that you do not want to keep and hold the piece that you do want to keep, hold it flat. So I want to allow for quite a bit of cardstock here. I might cut that down afterwards, so I will actually tear somewhere here. I'm being a bit wasteful with this, but it doesn't matter. And I'm just holding this down, and I'm tearing this off. You can put your finger here if you want to control it a little bit more. Sorry, I'm blocking the view a little bit. So, and then you end up with a piece like this, which has got no damage. And you can see here, maybe you can't, this is heavily creased, so this will definitely be waste, and this is why you tear the bit, that you don't want to keep. So with this one here, don't know if the camera picks it up, we've got this rough edge. It's up to you whether you like that. You can always turn it over, which I think I will do because I prefer this to be smooth. And I just do the same again on this side. I've got a bit of a crease here. I think this is from when it was delivered. So I'm just going to hold this one down again and tear here. And if you want to do, you can go in a wavy motion. I will keep mine fairly straight. But what I will do with this one, because I've got quite a bit of this thinner layer, I will go back in again and tear this thinner layer off because I don't want too much of that. So I'm going to turn it round. I've got a slight slope here, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going to have a play now with this card. So I think what I will do now is I will cut this down to 5 inches in height and then have a play how much I want to cover. So I quickly do this off camera. So this is 5 inches in height now, and now I can play with these pieces and have a look how much I want to cover. I think I will choose the straighter one at the top. I do not want to cover the notes actually. I want this to sit on the top. So I think I will just glue this down like this. If you find you need to manipulate it a little bit more, I don't like this bit, I can always come in again, just pinch it with your fingernail, or you come from this side. But again, keep the bit down. I should have done it from the other side because this will give me a rough edge now. I might have to do this all over again now, which doesn't matter because I've got plenty of base. But because I've got the rough edge here now, I'm creating a rough edge here. The other thing I could do, just thinking about it, is just to pull it down to the bottom. Silly me. Yeah, that's the way to do it. And then I've got it a bit straighter. Yeah, I prefer that. I would cut off edges anyway, so I'm not too bothered about that, because this is definitely wider than 7 inches. So I think I will place it on like this. And then the bottom sheet, I don't mind covering these a little bit. So, but what I will do is just taking my ruler and just checking the height here again. I know the height because I've cut this down. So just to make sure I've got a little bit of space at the bottom to stamp the sentiment. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I quite like the way this pops out of here, but I wanted to have the full notes and lyrics at the top. So I will just glue this down. I will actually, I think I will use some double-sided adhesive. Reason being is this is fairly thin paper, and I find whenever I use wet glue I'm struggling and I've got some lumps. So first of all, I think what I will do is, thought about sticking out, no, forget about that. So I would just quickly get my double-sided adhesive. So to know where I'm sticking my adhesive down, I will just mark this here where the bottom card ends, so I know I don't need to put any adhesive beyond that. And I need to mark this on the back now. I've marked it on the back before. It's Sunday morning. I think my brain's just gone back to sleep. So as long as I'm mindful that I'm not putting the tape on the front. So it doesn't matter if you've got a bit of this overhanging. I might put a little bit of glue stick on it just to keep it in place. And I already know I don't need the full length of this piece, but that's fine. So, and then I'm putting another one here. If you've got a good wet glue that doesn't leave any lumps, use that, but as I said, I'm very conscious of that. So I'm taking this off. I prefer to use the tweezers to grab them. I find that so much easier than my fingernails. And as I said, I'm putting a little bit of glue stick on the edge here. I'm also putting a little bit of glue stick in between those strips of double-sided adhesive. So I'm just turning this upside down because then it's easier for me to glue the top down. And as I've already measured it, I've got the pencil marks here now how far I wanted this down. And I can stick it down like this. Okay. So then the other side. Lovely, I'm happy with that. So off camera I will now cut this sheet again to 5 by 7. Well, I've got the 5 already anyway, so I will just cut it again here, and then I will decide with the 7 inches how much I want there, because I think this is slightly wider than 7. No, it's not. Well, the pole sheet is, but the lyrics actually aren't, which I'm fine with. I could possibly have printed it a little bit wider, but that's okay. For the embellishment of my card, I would like to have some foliage die cut here. I'm not quite sure yet. I've picked a few to have a look at, and I sometimes like to play just with the dies themselves. I don't want to cover too much, but I've got this here which is a bit like a dandelion, I think. I've got this, looks like some ivy. I quite like that actually because it's fairly thin. I've got an even slimmer one here, but I think I would need 2 of these, which I could do. I could cut one here and then have one going across a little bit here. I find it needs a little something there. I'll have another think off camera because I'm still not quite sure, and then I just want to stamp a sentiment here, or maybe even I've got a die as well. I will keep it, well, I just thought I'd make it white, but I might actually pick up the blue again. That would probably be nice and have a little bit more colour to the card. And yeah, I will either stamp in blue or will die cut from blue cardstock as well. I think this is all this card needs. But when you create a card like this, just to give you a few more ideas, it always depends on your liking and the recipient. You could embellish this even more. If the recipient had animals, you could create, use an animal die. Lots of ideas. I thought about, I've got musical notes as well, but I didn't want to do too much. But yeah, include something maybe personal as well, if you knew that person very well. Lots of ideas here, I think, with this scheme. I have made up my mind and die cut a few pieces. So I found a different flower here, and I like this one because it is sort of leaning that way, and it actually goes nicely around the lyrics here. So when I put this on the edge, I can still read the first line of the lyrics there. And because I've got thin cardstock here, it's not a problem to glue this down on various layers, so that's fine. So, and I have decided to use with Sympathy dies rather than stamping. But if I put this on here, obviously it's really, really busy. And the secret to that is I have got a shadow die here, and I can create a shadow. But I don't really want to cover this image too much, and this is why I'm putting some vellum underneath. So when you want to adhere vellum, if you've never used it before, it shows all kinds of glue on the back. There's one way of avoiding that is after you've stuck down your sentiment, you can put glue just where you've got your sentiment and hide the glue behind here. But I don't like to do that because then the edges are still sort of sticking off. It's not too bad, but I actually prefer to use double-sided adhesive. So before I'm die cutting this piece, I will put some double-sided adhesive on this piece of vellum. So I'm going a bit off camera at the bottom here. So just randomly cut that. When I put it through the die cutting machine, I want to make sure I've got no excess here, because that will just stick to the die cutting plate like silly. So I'm just cutting that off. Not the best scissors I've got for that. I've actually got some dedicated non-stick scissors, but they're sitting somewhere to be degunged with some spirit alcohol. So, and I can now die cut this from this, and then the whole back is adhesive. I'll show you how I stick this down after I've die cut this off camera. Whenever I've got sentiments that are really delicate, I like to use my two-way zig glue. And all you need to do is prep that a little bit. It's blue when it's wet, and just checking what that is. Oh yeah, was wondering about the black on the back, but this is actually, it was a paper folder, and I just kept the cardstock. So just wondered whether I had stamped on the back. So I'm just dotting all along here, and this very quickly goes tacky. I've shown that lots of times, making sure I'm catching all the ends of those letters so that they are adhered properly. So, and then I've got my vellum piece here. I will actually use my tweezers, because then my fingers are not getting in the way, because it actually is quite sticky. So, and then I can place this on here. I'm just starting here where I can see it. With longer words, you sometimes need to manipulate them a little bit so that they sit where they need to sit. Sorry, I should have zoomed in a little bit for that. And once it's in place, I can press it down. So all I need to glue down now is the little tittle. This is still actually in my die cut, and the easiest way to do that is to put a little bit of glue on the back of that, and then I can place this over the word. Where am I? Try to get this straight. You can obviously take it out. I said it was the easiest one. There we go. And then I can press it down with a tool, and then it's sitting where it should sit. So all that's left for me to do now is to stick this down and stick the flower down. Let me just zoom out a little bit again. So I can peel the release paper off now. There we go. Oh, yeah. So, and I'm just hovering it over here. I want a little bit of space at the bottom, but I don't want to cover too much of the lyrics there. So I think just about there. And I really like the look of that. It's quite bold actually, the sentiment, but I think this is fine. And now I will stick this down. I'm contemplating whether I want the same die cut in vellum again, just to tie this in. I think I will do that. I will just cut this again in vellum, glue this down like I've done this one. I've shown you the method, and I will then just stick it down. I'll do this all off camera and just show you the finished card. Here's the finished card. Sorry about the light, the daylight's just gone, but if I've put my lights on, it actually makes it a little bit darker, if that makes sense. So I'd rather let the camera handle the lighting. So I have cut a vellum flower. I don't know how well the camera picks it up. I put it slightly off here on the side. I just wanted to introduce some vellum to this side. You could also put like a cut shape, like an oval there, or a round bit, but I think it's really nice that I've got vellum on this side as well as on here. Yeah, and I'm really pleased with this card now. It's very personal, but I'm sure the recipient will enjoy this. Yeah, and if you like this card too, you might want to give me a thumbs up, And if you'd like to see more of what I'm creating, you might want to subscribe to my channel. I'd be very happy about that. And I'll see you soon with another video.